Hurricane Helene transformed from a swirling low-pressure system into a force of destruction that led a path from the Gulf of Mexico through Florida, Georgia, East Tennessee, and delivered a 1 in 1,000 year kill shot in its wrath on western North Carolina.
Everything's gone.
The storm's pace, how rapidly it intensified, the fury of its winds and rain left a lasting scar on towns, landscapes, and people in its path. But this story goes beyond the physical and financial devastation.
We lost everything. We lost buildings.
It taps into human resilience, the scale of collaboration, and the commitment to recovery. There does exist a darker side to this tragedy. In the wake of Helene and through my investigation over the last 8 weeks, it seems I've opened Pandora's box, leading to more serious questions and answers.
Are you shutting me out?
Questions about weather modification.
It lays the predicate and the foundation for the development of a weather satellite that will permit man to determine the world's cloud layer and ultimately to control the weather, and he who controls the weather will control the world.
Government overreach, lack of government response, scarcity of potable water, and in future episodes in this docuseries, the potential redevelopment for 15-minute cities and exploitation of valuable resources such as lithium and quartz silica, all in high demand in the name of green energy, artificial intelligence, driven by the World Economic Forum and the United Nations proclaimed climate crisis. We will examine the threat to the nuclear family. The Department of Social Services, a North Carolina agency for CPS, has been actively removing children from families under the auspices of ensuring a safe home for that child. Oddly, the money awarded DSS per child is far greater than what would be needed to provide temporary housing for the entire family who lost their home and belongings in the storm. And finally, we will look into getting clarity on the number of people who perished due to this catastrophic storm and the fallout from the government response. The death toll reportedly seems remarkably low considering the amount of body bags ordered, the field reports of bodies in refrigerator trucks, Chinook helicopters with hundreds of bodies loaded by search and rescue teams, and law enforcement efforts who were pulling bodies out from across the region. Hurricane Helene's assault on western North Carolina was nothing short of catastrophic. Torrential rains, exacerbated by the mountainous topography, brought torrents of water cascading through valleys, engulfing towns, uprooting businesses, and transforming bustling communities into disaster zones. In this expose, we'll also delve into the role of FEMA. The total cost of Helene's rampage is staggering, with damage estimates climbing into the billions. FEMA, state officials, and local agencies are supposed to work together, pouring resources into the area, rendering aid, supporting the cleanup, and facilitating the rebuilding efforts. The joint response across federal and local levels highlight the massive shortcomings in executing those efforts in recovery. Remarkably, the scale of need has been matched by the people who have come together from next door to across the country to help their fellow American. The camps FEMA built only for their support staff are now gone or being dismantled. With FEMA applications for aid being denied to some and funded to others, the decision tree on who gets what is not clearly understood. It was unmistakably unsettling due to the absence of direct and clear communication as to FEMA's role and presence in the communities. Moreover, in an age where science and technology monitor every aspect of the weather, there are rising questions about the influence of human activity in storm intensification. Some voices point to the tools like NextRad radar and the HARP project, sparking discussions and skepticism about weather warfare and whether our climate has become a manipulated weapon. This layer of intrigue, though controversial, adds a thought-provoking dimension to our understanding of storms like Helene and the mysteries surrounding their origins. As we examine the aftermath of Hurricane Helene, we invite you to consider the resilience of the human spirit, the vulnerability of our landscapes, and the capacity of government to render support expeditiously when disaster response is not only measured in timeliness, but the ability to cut red tape and put the people first. Thank you for joining us in this exploration of Hurricane Helene and its profound, lasting impact on western North Carolina and beyond. If there was ever an application for wearing masks, it's now. Due to all the toxins in the dust originating from the contaminated river water that washed mud into every nook and cranny of the affected towns, reports of respiratory infections are increasing, making precautions necessary.
The main road coming out of downtown Asheville, which is up that way, is a road called Tunnel Road. We're at the juncture just that away of Tunnel Road and Swannanoa Road. The road's washed away. All of the business, this is Glendale Avenue, gone. And then this is Swannanoa Road, where you see all these utility trucks. You can't get in there. All the businesses, holy crap.
These gas tanks here, they're burning fuel off right now.
Yeah, it's probably the underground line. Anytime you have a flare stack like that, same thing in the oil field. You burn off like H2S, hydrogen sulfide, and things like that.
It's been going for at least a week.
Oh, for sure, it has to. Number one, for pressure reason, and then number two, you've got to burn off the toxins or the gases like that.
Green building, which is where I had one of my businesses. The black mold, and I'm talking black mold, is so toxic. They don't want to, you had to sign some kind of a waiver to go in to see if you could get anything out, which there was nothing left. And now she's broken her lease. You go in there, you do that at your own risk. This is just decimated. This was all businesses. So you have to understand that the water literally was up over this roof.
Yep.
Into the woods, but look at how far it came this way. We're talking hundreds of feet. Pilsen Glass, big glass company, it's gone. Gone. Holy crap. Oh, it's all gone. They're trying to get electricity up because clearly these people don't have power. And this is where they kept on saying they were finding bodies. Down there is where all the homeless people were staying. That was where Lowe's and all those places are. All the homeless lived there. And they keep on, so where we're going next, which is the tobacco barn, there was a sheriff there talking to the owner and a friend of mine, I'm not going to mention her name. He said he personally, with his team, has bagged over 1,000 people. Over 1,000 people, just say.
Here in Swannanoa, this town ravaged by Hurricane Helene, water's coming up to the second story of apartment buildings around me. Behind me, the antique tobacco farm, home to many vendors that sold fabulous items for years, expecting the flood maybe only to come in for a couple of feet, only to find out that something transpired downriver in the dams that potentially created the flood here that they were not expecting. This town, established in the 1600s by the Davidson family, has seen people come and go, businesses thrive and flourish along this beautiful, picturesque community, left in devastation. And 6 weeks later, we still don't see much progress in the cleanup. Going back to FEMA, to all the supposed recovery rescue workers that are showing up, where are they? Where is the help for the town of Swannanoa? Where is the help for the people in the mountains? What will it look like 1 year from now? Will the residents be able to be permitted to rebuild? Will the businesses be challenged with additional building codes in order to build back better? Your family has grown up in this area. Your family settled this area in the 1600s, so I understand.
I'm a seventh generation.
Seventh generation Swannanoan.
Yes.
This is a significant storm that impacted your area. Just kind of walk me through a little bit about, what you experienced, how you feel right now, a month and a half out post Hurricane Helene.
Evacuated around 6 o'clock that morning, got a text on my phone, got up, packed what little we could to get out, loaf of bread, some peanut butter, grabbed a change of clothes for me and my daughter, our dog, bag of food for her, and evacuated to my uncle's house, who is my neighbor, but he's on higher ground. And within an hour of us getting to his house, the road we came in on was completely underwater. By about 10 o'clock, the storage shed that was in his yard floated away.
How do you feel now, looking, 6 weeks post the storm, looking around you at this area, still clearly evidence of mass devastation? Have you recovered?
No, not even close. Been working with FEMA, which is a disaster.
Tell us about that experience.
Denied a dehumidifier purchase, said they would reimburse me for that if we purchased it in a generator. Got a letter saying that the damage didn't warrant the purchase of a dehumidifier.
Did you have water in your house?
About 2 to 3 inches when I got home the next morning, so I don't know what it was like during the storm. The water didn't actually reach my house, but it seeped up through the concrete slab. My house is on a slab, and the groundwater got so high it came up through the floor. It rained so hard that it was raining inside my window. It came into the wall in my living room, came into my daughter's bedroom. There's black mold growing on the wall, about 5 feet up the 9-foot ceiling, and all the way across. And then in the corner, there's mold all the way up.
Are you living in your house right now?
I am, because I'm not able to, I haven't been able to find an RV or a trailer or anything to live in, and FEMA denied housing assistance.
Is the plan for everybody in this area that got hit? I mean, the bridge just down the street here actually just got restored. You've got crops that were ready to be harvested from your neighbors that are gone.
My neighbor lost a lot.
Are the people feeling like we're going to dig in, stay, and build back?
Yeah, because a lot of us are from here. Like you said, I'm the 7th generation. I inherited the house from my mom. I don't want to leave my house. It's my childhood home.
When it comes to support for the people in the community, what I've noticed in the month that I've been here is it has been an overwhelming support coming from the people helping people more than it's been government helping the people.
It's the good old boys on side-by-sides driving around, the people that own dump trucks and skid steers and earth-moving equipment that showed up before FEMA ever arrived, and were restoring roads and areas where people couldn't get in and out. They were making it capable for rescues to get into them. Churches, I volunteered at a church.
Does it restore your faith in your fellow man, what you're seeing?
Yeah, community members. We had to rescue my neighbor. He got washed off of the porch of his house when his house floated away with his dog, and called 911 6 or 7 times. The last time I was asked to spell the town that I live in. So I said, "Where are you?" They said, "Cook County, we're 4 hours away." So I said, "Can you tell us when help is coming?" "No, we have no idea when help is coming." They'll try to get there, but the people that saved my neighbor were neighbors.
Okay. How was the election for you? Because this, of course, all happened right before the presidential election. Was the residents here able to get out and vote? Was there an effort? Was there an excitement about it, or was
Yeah, everybody was ready to go vote.
They were, okay.
Yeah, everybody's ready for change. Locally, federally, state level, we're all hoping that because of what we've lived through, that there is some sort of recourse that comes from the officials that are going to be elected.
So in that vein, President Biden did a flyover in Air Force One, and President Trump, who is now President-elect Trump, was actually on the ground in Swannanoa.
I will support and totally complete the rebuilding of every region and town and city that was devastated by the hurricane, and I will slash through every bureaucratic barrier that you're having.
Tell us about the difference between the two approaches, and what is the sort of the reception by the people here looking at those two different approaches?
It definitely made those of us who were here, the timing of the Biden flyover was not the best, because it was in the middle of cleaning up and when helicopters were most vital to be in the air, and they had to all ground because he was in the air. So I have friends that lived up number 9 that the only way to get resources was them being flown in on a helicopter, and it halted that for the period of time. And there's no telling how long the after effect of those planes being grounded hurt the people in those areas.
Right. You were making, if you were an advisor, say, to President-elect Trump, how would you advise him to positively affect change inside a government response in a disaster like this in the future?
Reach to the locals, ask them what they need, what they did, what worked, what didn't work. Make sure that in the future there's plans for if something like this happens, there's a timeline for the response. I was reading on Facebook earlier today that they are now classifying this as a geological event. We are in the 0.5% of people who will ever live through a geological event because of the number of landslides that occurred, the amount of water that moved in. It's not being called just a hurricane, it is an official geological event.
In 1995, local artist Lois Simbach bought this 100-year-old home along the French Broad River. It took her 20 years to renovate, and she has enjoyed living in it the last 10 years. Her home and studio were a source of community gatherings for many. What a labor of love.
It was, and it was beautiful.
Well, what is
so I had this whole back area was like an indoor garden, and then I renovated the first part 2 stories, so I had like a loft on top.
So we're talking about 100 years of history that was made even more beautiful by your presence and your touch. It's all gone.
I know.
How does it strike you?
How
are you feeling right now? How are you doing?
Well, actually I feel more free.
Do you really?
Yeah, I mean the shock of it, my whole life went down the river, and I kind of feel free, and I need to make a new decision to move on. Mm-hmm. And that's the hard part.
Are you going to rebuild?
Not here. No, I don't think we can. I don't know. The town is still figuring that out.
What are you hearing? Because I see, from a month ago when I was here, the streets were filled with mud.
Yeah,
and people were wearing hazmat suits or PPE, really.
Yeah.
But it's a lot cleaner today.
It's cleaner, but there's still a lot of debris.
Oh, a lot of work to be done.
And they haven't even touched this side of town because we're all down.
Yeah.
And it's going to take heavy machinery.
So what are you hearing in terms of the town of Marshall and what they are discussing? And are the residents engaging in those conversations about the future of this town?
Well, everyone's positive because we're such a tight community. We love each other and we're all good friends. And so everyone wants to build it back up again.
So the council seems proactively engaging in the direction of restoring the community and bringing it back to life?
It seems like it.
How are they helping you all facilitate that from a zoning perspective, permitting, etc.?
Well, we're not there yet.
Not there yet?
No, we're still cleaning up the road and just making sure everyone has a roof over their head.
Is there any discussion that they may change how you rebuild based on floodplaining, etc.?
I think that's this area. But downtown, the buildings are still standing, so they're already gutting, and some are even, restoring, renovating.
Right. Mm-hmm. So anybody who actually lost their building, like you did, you've lost your entire structure, a 100-year-old structure, they're now telling you that perhaps you can't rebuild, or?
No, they're not saying anything. No, they haven't said anything yet. We're just waiting.
You're just waiting.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have the patience to wait it out, or are you going to pack it in and move on? What do you want to do?
No, I'm here for definitely next year.
And you're an artist, so where's your art being displayed?
It's in the river somewhere. The fish are looking at it.
Oh, okay. Will you pick
if
up
there are any fish, you know.
Will you pick up a paintbrush and paint on?
Yeah, but right now I'm just up to here with paperwork, and you know, it's like when you lose everything, it's like your birth certificate, you know, all your bank statements. I mean, it's just like everything went down the river. You know, and I gotta, you know, get that going.
So you said you feel free because you have nothing to worry about?
Yeah, it's just like, you know, take a little suitcase and go.
Yeah. As you can see here on the side of this brick building in downtown Marshall, the water from the French Broad River crested way above the normal riverbank. I stand at 5'8" tall, and this is clearly 2 to 3 times my height right here. When you take a look over here, down to the river, you can see as I cross the railroad tracks, which are out of commission, the river is at least a good 15 or 20 feet below me there. So really, what are we talking about? A 40-foot crest above normal river flow? Mike, this looks like a war zone.
Oh, and this is Ramadi. This is Ramadi, Iraq.
Good, right?
This is in Helmand. I mean, this is what this looks like. I've worked Katrina, Gustav, Ike, Rita, and of course Harvey. And it emulates a war zone.
Is FEMA helping out? Are you on a FEMA contract or on a state contract?
I'm working for another man. I'm working for Matt Yakeley.
Private business.
Yeah, he's the one that's kind of headed all this up to start with. We hit the ground down here first.
Yeah. Oh, this is a gentleman who owns all the equipment.
Yep.
I met his daughter.
Yeah.
Good
Okay.
people. Good people.
Oh yeah, good-hearted as they come.
Yes, sir. That's what it takes, man. Can't wait on anybody else.
No, well, you gotta. Like I said, I was born and raised here, and it's our nature. I mean, you just reach and get it and go. You take it.
Right. We're from Texas.
I mean, and it's good to see other people like-minded. You know, we don't wait on nobody, and we help each other out.
One of the most photographed rivers in the country is the French Broad River. 218 miles long, starting in the town of Rosman in Transylvania County, North Carolina, flowing into Tennessee. Home to many beautiful businesses and restaurants along the way, has provided summer tourism with water sports for years. 17 miles from where we are here in Marshall, North Carolina, is Silver-Line Plastics. Sadly, during the Great Flood after Hurricane Helene, Silver-Line Plastics went underwater, and so did all of the toxic chemicals used to fabricate PVC piping. What will be the future for this river and for tourism, specifically in water sports, and the health of the people in this community?
Smell that mold?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. So sad.
Look at that. All the way up there.
Look at the black mold on the top.
I know. The reports of various toxins that have entered the river due to flooding. What are some of the precautions they're taking to prevent the spread of contaminated mud?
So we've got a food station over there, food and first aid, and the mud is obviously, as we know, not safe to be around. So just getting as much mud off as possible in the food area, just to make sure that we're keeping everything out of our bodies that we can.
Is there anything down here that you all are concerned about that besides mud, but like anything in the water or the mud that you might be concerned about?
I mean, other than like what everyone knows about.
What does everybody know about?
The plastic factory.
Tell me about it.
I mean, I don't know a ton about it, but just that there was a factory upstream of us that was that leaked contaminants that aren't good for us, and that just make the mud around us unsafe and toxic to be around, which is why we're wearing all of this PPE. We've got respirator masks, gloves, trying to keep everything uncontaminated that goes in.
Okay.
Yeah, this is my hometown.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. Yeah.
How do you all feel about rebuilding? Do you know where you are mentally as the town, as a community?
I mean, I've heard quite a bit about numerous businesses that have already talked about rebuilding. You know, we've got lots of places that have been here for a while, and unfortunately lots of places that were also very, very new. But yeah, I've heard of at least 4 places that are going to rebuild. But I think for the most part, people are feeling pretty discouraged right now. Obviously, we're kind of in the here and now, just figuring it out as we go. You know, just this is the first task, is cleaning it up, making it livable and safe again. The second task is going to be making it into a community again. But I'm hoping that our little town will, you know, come back from this, and I think we can. I think we can. And my mom is the one helping run First Aid and Food, and my dad owns a construction company called Red Shed Woodworks that is supplying all of like Tracos and a lot of the big Caterpillar equipment that you see around.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
7 weeks after Hurricane Helene devastated Marshall, North Carolina, here in Madison County, this once picturesque little community nestled in the Blue Ridge Mountains is starting to come back to life. Signs of the city streets getting cleaned up. Zuma right here, which is known for bringing people together, bringing musical instruments together on the weekend to get together and just jam. Life is starting to return. They've got a long road to go, and mold and the contamination from toxic mud and dust is still playing a very important part in the cleanup process here in Marshall. As North Carolina grapples with the devastation left by Hurricane Helene, local volunteers have stepped up in remarkable ways. They're bringing supplies, heavy equipment, and endless determination to reach those in need. It's truly a grassroots effort, but as these volunteers work around the clock, one question remains. Where are the government agencies? Where is FEMA? We are live in Candler, North Carolina, approaching a massive installation. It's owned by the Smoky Park LLC, but it's got armed guards. They've got climate-controlled trucks and trailers, I should say. It's pretty well organized. It's got one entrance in and one entrance out. So we're walking in and we're going to ask them live who they are, what they're doing here. Are they under government contract? Is it FEMA? And they're putting a tornado shelter in here, apparently. Got a delivery. So stick with us. We're going to figure out what's going on. I'm Ann Vandersteel with Steel News.
Okay.
I'm live right now, and I'm just wanting to find out what y'all are doing here and who's organizing and who's actually got the property under lease.
Okay. Give me 1 second, and I'll go ahead and just get some supervisor to come out here and speak to you.
Okay. Are you guys private security?
Yes, ma'am.
You are? Who's your contract with?
Strategic Security Corps.
And who do they contract with? You guys kind of popped this up pretty quickly. I was talking with some of the locals. They said it happened pretty fast. Are these disaster relief efforts for the people in North Carolina?
Go ahead.
Is this a contract with the federal government? I guess I've never seen a tornado shelter mobile like that.
And I really appreciate it because there's a lot of misinformation.
That's why we're here.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's why we're here. We're just asking questions.
He is very excited to talk to you.
Good.
There's so much misinformation and speculation about what this place is, and it's funny.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. You are Daniel Dale?
I am not Daniel Dale.
Oh, you're not?
No, Daniel Dale's back here.
Okay.
My name's Josh Word.
Hi, Josh.
Hi.
Ann Vandersteel.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. This is my producer, Sean.
Hey, Sean. Nice to meet you.
We're with Steel News. We have been on the ground for the last couple of weeks. This gentleman is with Remnant Ministries out of Texas.
Okay.
508 Association of Christian Churches.
Okay. All right.
Humanitarian relief.
Yeah, I've been doing a bunch of stuff. We've gone all over, and the other day we were here helping some of the people at Pole Creek Baptist Church, which is not too far from here. They actually have a new location in the fairground. And we saw this location a couple of days ago, and so we asked some of the neighbors what was going on. They said, oh, it's a FEMA camp, and it's being leased by the trucking company. We were like, the ground that the trucking company owns. So we looked it up, and it's a different ownership.
Yes.
But we were just wondering what it is y'all are doing, and because FEMA's had, they said they were pulling out because of militia and stuff, which that was debunked. So we just want to get the truth out because people are kind of like all over the place.
Understood. Yes. Yes, definitely understandable. We are definitely not pulling out. We are actually building this for our responders, for FEMA responders, other federal agencies. We have several of these sites around the area to help volunteer agencies as well. That need lodging, that are coming in to help the survivors in the local area.
Okay.
So that's what this is being stood up for.
So this will be for the folks that have lost everything, they need a place to stay kind of thing?
This is for the responders that
Only.
are helping those folks.
Okay.
We are building these to stay out of the local hotels so
Okay.
that the responders, so that the survivors have the ability to stay in the local hotels.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Now, is there money being provided to the survivors to accommodate hotel or?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
That is not my area.
Okay.
That's our individual assistance and the whole other side of FEMA.
Okay.
Our focus is really on this side to try to do the back end support for the operation.
And so how many responders will you house here and how long do you think your response will be?
We're building this to come up to 700 people.
Okay.
And right now, how long it's going to be, we are unsure.
Okay.
It's a really unknown number for us at this point.
And I mean, just because I've never seen it before, I saw a bunch of these tornado.
Yes.
Yes. I don't know what shelters.
Tornado shelters.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you all expecting tornadoes here?
We are not expecting tornadoes. Part of the package that goes out is to ensure that all the responders are safe.
Right.
And there's nowhere for people to take cover here. So it's just part of the operation that goes out. If there are tornadoes or bad weather that comes through, it's somewhere for them to go.
Got it, because they're living in.
Yes.
Are they going to be in tents or mostly in trailers?
Mostly in trailers.
Mostly in trailers.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And what is the tornado shelter made out of? How does that manufacture? Do you know? Is it steel or?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm
Okay.
assuming it's steel.
Okay. So you don't know how long y'all be here. It just depends.
It really depends.
Are
Yes.
the contractors or the FEMA people that'll be here, are they working on infrastructure? What are their tasks, their job tasks?
Just a large area of tasks. Working with individual survivors, working public assistance projects, just working with state and local personnel as well. There's no one set responsibility that they're focused on for years.
Okay, so I actually was trying to find the contract in SAMS for you guys to figure out how you guys, and we couldn't find the contract. So what would I look for in the SAMS system to find this contract for this property and this camp that's gone up?
I'm gonna have to get back to you on that.
Okay.
It was through, we do have contracts, standing contracts for these that we then do task orders off of.
From a public relations perspective, because there has been so much information that, has unfortunately been bad on you guys, making you guys look bad.
Right.
What is it you want to relay to the public to clear up any misconceptions they may have that FEMA's not on the ground, FEMA left because of militia, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we've talked to a lot of people all around these hills, and they haven't seen FEMA. They've said, in fact, yesterday one of the fire departments said, hey, we've had contact, but we haven't seen them, and that was it. So what do you want to relay?
So what I want to relay from my side, which is the responder side, we haven't left. We know that there are additional FEMA employees coming in to support the local area. And for those that are saying that they haven't seen them yet, I know they're coming. It takes a while to build something like this.
Yeah.
We did not want to bring responders in and have them become part of the problem. So we needed to ensure that there was infrastructure set up for them before they go around.
Right. And in terms of gauging the necessity for longevity for each employee, what sort of metrics are you evaluating progress in the area? I mean, you must have some kind of protocol and metrics you're following to gauge the necessity of the employees that are here, whether it's mental health, public assistance, building roads, whatever.
Yes, we do have mental health workers here as well for the teams that are coming in and out, that are staying here. And as far as the metrics go, we kind of tie that back in with the operation back in Raleigh, as well as we got an office going up in Hickory. That's kind of the leadership of everything that's happening out here.
Oh, okay. So you have another facility like this in Hickory?
No. It's more of an office setting.
Office setting,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you building another camp like this somewhere in North Carolina?
We do have another one. We actually have one in Flat Rock.
In Flat Rock,
yes.
Okay.
And then we're putting another one up in Wilkes County.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yep. So we are trying to ensure that there is coverage in the areas that were most heavily damaged.
And what are you hearing in terms of the impact population, total numbers of population impacted and perhaps even deceased and or missing? Do you have a handle on any of that?
I do not. That's the other side of what we do.
Okay.
I'm strictly dealing with the responders so that they can handle that other piece.
Okay. And lastly, your guards are very polite, but is there a reason they're all armed?
At just standard protocol.
That is standard protocol?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the first one I've seen with
Yep.
this many guys kind of around. So
Yep.
that was
Nope.
curious
Standard
about that.
protocol. When we have security, they always come in armed.
represent the Lake Lure Chimney Rock area. I'm sure many of you have seen the images. The town of Lake Lure, or the town of Chimney Rock, has pretty much washed into the town of Lake Lure, along with all the businesses and homes that were there. You're talking about commercial kitchens, propane tanks, fuel. You're talking about a sewage line that was washed away. Huge environmental concerns for the lake and the ecosystem below it. And the agency who is tasked with that, who is usually the first one on the ground enforcing these regulations, are nowhere to be found.
Helicopters fly supplies into remote areas, while excavators clear debris from roads and properties. Fuel for resupply flows steadily, ensuring operations can continue, and ATVs traverse the rugged terrain, reaching those cut off by the storm's fury. This is more than a relief effort. It's a true We the People movement, with neighbors, volunteers, and responders combining resources to bring life back into the mountains.
And in neighboring communities all throughout Western North Carolina, residents like Randy Buckner are busy expediting relief efforts.
So we're here trying to make sure everybody's safe, fed, and stays warm with the cold weather coming in. And this is all volunteer stuff here, but it's been amazing. People from all over our country, all over our nation, it just amazed me at how they came in. And well, it's pretty evident what they have done. It's pretty impressive. Big thing right now is financing to help get our infrastructure and all that back and our people, and then figure out how we're going to get the people that lost their homes back in homes. It's going to be a long road.
How does it compare to what you've witnessed in Iraq and other parts of the Middle East?
Every tragedy is just that. You can't help when life smacks you in the face. The only thing you can help after that is how you respond to it. And this community has gotten up. They got hit in the face. They got hit in the mouth pretty hard. But they got up. Their neighbors got up. The neighbors of their neighbors got up. The counties banded together. The cities, then the counties, and then the state. And this is more of an individually driven passion that everyone has taken on and taken heart to.
Just driving in from Bat Cave on a road that the good old boys from West Virginia showed up and made in 3 days, just to connect two towns settled here in the Black Mountains of North Carolina. The process of restoration and reclamation of once was a proud, charming town right here is underway. Do you need any assistance from anybody else at this time?
We need the Army Corps of Engineers to get to the private roads. DOT will fix our main streets, but they won't touch a private road. And we're having to go over half mile in or cut roads in through logging trails so that the people can get in and out by side or four-wheeler.
The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers falls under the Department of Defense. While there has been evidence of the Corps mobilized to respond to this natural disaster, it just does not seem robust enough for the recovery needed here. Bit by bit, they're restoring the daily rhythm of life, rebuilding what was lost, and showing that together, with God, no challenge is too great to overcome.
Father God, in the name of Jesus, right now we just come in the power of agreement according to Matthew chapter 18, verse 20, that says, if two of us agree as touching anything on heaven and earth, it will be done. We just pray that you will touch people's heart. First off, that you would just hold people very tight with your arms, for you said you're a very present help in the time of trouble. For those that have lost family members, those that have lost loved ones, for just the devastation of homes and businesses and the loss of things that are so sentimental and precious to them. That you will be, Holy Spirit, the Paracleto, the one that clings to and aids in time of need. And I pray right now for the resurrection and restoration of Chimney Rock, North Carolina. Touch the hearts of men and women and people all over this country and beyond to be rebuilders and restorers of life, for that is who you are. And so we thank you that we can be the hands, the heart, and just the hope of Jesus Christ. In the only name I know, the matchless name of Jesus Christ, we ask and pray this. Amen.
67 days and people are still living in tents. We have video of the FEMA compound. They seem to be doing pretty well. I'm just trying to figure out what people should expect. And it doesn't seem 67 days is too long to expect a trailer that the government has money for, is it?
People are living in tents. Yes, they are. And I'm sorry.
But you know, let's look at the other side of it. However, FEMA is not Jesus Christ. We can't expect miracles overnight.
Standing here in Candler, North Carolina, on a hill overlooking this enormous FEMA camp, housing over 100 residential housing units and trailers, in addition to over 24 tornado shelters in the mountains of western North Carolina, a month after Hurricane Helene has absolutely storm-ravaged the entire area. This camp is supposedly home to the FEMA workers, the contractors that are going to be coming in to support state and local resources. Supposedly 700 people are supposed to be on site here facilitating the recovery efforts here in western North Carolina. To date, it's an anemic response. We're going to do a follow-up. The last time we were here a month ago, we were told that we should expect to see a lot more resources pouring in, yet my investigative journalism on the ground is reflecting something completely different. We're going to take a look here shortly, so follow us as we head down to the front gate of this FEMA camp in Candler. Looks like he's talking into his microphone, so probably he remembers me from last time. Hi, I was here about a month ago. My name is Ann Vandersteel. I'm with Steel News, and we were just doing some follow-up questions. We had a great conversation with Josh Wirt. Is he here today?
You said Josh?
Josh?
Josh what?
Wirt. I think he just told me he can't speak to me. Are you shutting me out? Is there anybody here who can answer questions?
No, man.
There's
Not
nobody.
that I know of.
Why so secret? This is a federal installation, we were told last time. We're just trying to get some questions answered.
What's going on?
Hi, good morning.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. If you don't care, is there any way I could get you to just go on the gravel for me?
The gravel?
Yeah, right back here.
Is this private property?
Yeah.
Oh, high traffic area, okay.
Yeah, there's people coming in and out all the time. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. My name is Ann Vandersteel. And I'm with Steel News. I was here a month ago.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Okay.
Yeah.
And I had a great conversation with a gentleman by the name of Josh Wirt.
Uh-huh.
Do you remember that?
I wasn't here.
You weren't here, okay.
We need you real quick. Yeah.
If you want to, you can talk to somebody in there. We can get you somebody, okay?
All right.
We're just security, okay?
Thank you. Yeah. Are you asking me to follow you?
No, I'm not taking from here.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll get somebody.
Okay, that.
With you guys. But yeah.
Is there somebody here?
Sure, we'll go ask them.
Okay. Okay, well, that seems fairly positive. We're going to stay in the zone of being positive. Strategic Security Corporation is a private security company. They do have a contract with FEMA. They are also an intelligence service company, and you can look all this up if you go to their website. It's very obvious who they are and what they do. But what I find interesting is when you go to other FEMA locations that are set up like this, you have a much more lackadaisical security infrastructure. Same people, same contractors, but they're nowhere near as tight and as private about what's going on behind the gates as they are here. This facility here at Candler, and you'll see in the drone footage, is massive and has expanded rapidly in a matter of days. They're supposedly housing 700 disaster and recovery people that are coming in from around the country that work for FEMA. Whether they're contracted or directly employed, I don't know. But that was a number we were given by Josh Wirt the last time we were here. Yet the number of people that are currently on this camp by the drone footage doesn't look like it's anywhere near 700. So I'm not sure how much longer it's going to take for the people to get here, but we're over a month out from the storm. And still, when you drive and fly through the areas that have been hardest hit, you don't see government contract workers. You see the people that are living there trying to pick up the pieces. And frankly, they've lost everything. They don't have the financial resources to bring a front end loader in there and clear out roads, clear out the rivers that have been absolutely decimated and change the landscape. People's property is literally gone. They've lost houses and the property. There's no way to rebuild. And so you have to ask yourself, why is the government not stepping in at this point to facilitate housing more than what they're doing currently? Why is the government seemingly absent at this point? And when you couple that with the resources that are in these mountains, the lithium, the silica, the quartz silica, the gold, and other resources, A different question has to be asked, and of course also the weather warfare aspect of this is clearly something that has to be explored in more detail. There's been a lot of information published showing next-rad radar and HARP lasers getting fired in steering the last storm that was here in terms of Hurricane Helene. That has been well documented by people a lot smarter than me. So again, the secrecy around this particular camp is kind of concerning, but I'm trying to stay open. My name is Ann Vandersteel.
Michael,
Michael,
to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you. Michael, are you working for FEMA?
Yes, I'm a FEMA reservist.
You're a FEMA reservist. Is that a contractor or a direct employee?
How would you say it? So, I guess it's not a direct employee until I'm activated.
Okay.
So,
Okay, so you are a private citizen that works and gets activated by FEMA, kind of like National Guard?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. I didn't realize that had
so
a
I don't
structure.
know how you would.
Okay, no, that's cool. I just don't understand the actual structure. So I'm with Steel News. We were here about a month ago. We had a great conversation with a gentleman by the name of Josh Wirt.
Yes.
And he was very forthcoming with some awesome information about the number of people that were supposed to be here, that are contractors you're expecting to come in and facilitate help to the city of state of North Carolina and so forth, provide resources. Can we just get an update on what's happening and what sort of resources? Because the coverage I've been doing, I haven't seen a lot of resources in the field helping some of the people who've literally lost not only their house but their land, etc. So we're just trying to get an update for the people.
Sure. And any media inquiries that come my way, I'm supposed to direct you guys to this, and they're going to answer all your questions.
Okay, what do you got for us?
So the news desk phone number is right there.
News desk phone number is 855-576-9990.
Yes.
Email is FEMA-DR-4827-NC-newsdesk@fema.dhs.gov.
That's it.
That's it. Okay. Well, I appreciate that. So there's nobody here that's willing to talk. There's no PIO here, nothing like that?
No, not here. Sorry.
So Josh Ward, does he only work Monday through Fridays?
He's not at this location. But yeah, any inquiries, they'll be glad to help you with that phone number.
Okay. Is there anything you can tell me about how many people are actually here working now,
No,
or using
I'm
the?
not allowed to speak on that.
Is there? Then the last question I really have is, the level of security at this camp is completely different than the one at Blue Ridge Community College versus another location down in Hickory and another. You know what I'm saying? And Craggy.
No, I mean I'm not familiar with those sites actually.
Oh, you're
so
not?
I've never been there.
Oh, you haven't?
So no, I wouldn't be able.
I mean, they allowed us to walk on. We were given a tour of the dining
that's
hall
nice.
and so on and so forth. So I'm just wondering why the level of security here is so much different than at the other facilities.
I wouldn't be able to answer that.
Maybe the security guys could?
Oh, they're probably not. They're gonna direct you to that contact.
Okay, so interesting. All right.
All right.
Well,
Thank you.
are you guys getting a lot of traffic of people coming in to help?
Oh, sure. FEMA's got everybody activated. So, what's your name again, ma'am?
Ann Vandersteel.
Ann.
Very simply, you just now have heard from the folks at FEMA that they don't want to answer any more questions. They're going to redirect you to the public information officer at FEMA. And frankly, that is a deflection. That is trying to obfuscate information. And if this is truly a facility to help the people, they should be more forthcoming to the people that are here to provide the direct information. And so to that, I say boo on them, but we're not going to quit. So you saw me walk into the FEMA camp live.
Yeah, that was interesting, and I realized there was something I needed to go inspect right here in my backyard in Candler.
So what happened? How'd you pull that off?
We really didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't expect to get past the front gate, but we did. They just said, hey, just keep going left. We went in.
So wait, it was you and who else?
My brother and a good friend, they wanted to remain anonymous too, so.
How you doing? Pretty good.
Okay, so you drove into the front gate, because when I was there, they had the gate closed. They weren't letting anybody pass there except people that were supposed to be there, supposedly.
Well, I've got a pretty big truck covered with mud, and it looked like I was a contractor, which I actually am, and I had my company shirt on, so I guess they just assumed. And we got in and started talking about, hey, I needed some help. Got trees on my house, and then we started asking other questions while we were waiting for a response, and they started getting a little skeptical of why we were there.
So once you cross that fence line, okay, you guys now come in federal property. This is an area for first responders to stay so that they can go out and conduct urban search and rescue. and tactical circumstances, right? We've already had another reporter who came in here, tried to villainize us, tried to say that, you know, we're doing all sorts of just crazy shit that's not happening, okay? FEMA's here to help people. It takes time.
What are the tornado shelters for? I'm just curious.
That is part of.
So they.
Were you talking with the security guards, or you were talking with?
We were talking with the little lady and another gentleman that had a FEMA shirt on behind a table, and they started trying to give us phone numbers, and then we started asking about tornado shelters and bodies and stuff like that, you know, what's been going on in the community. And they went out and got armed security and came back and asked us if we were recording, and yes, of course we were. So. Well,
North Carolina is a one-party state. You're allowed to record, right?
They weren't too happy about it, though. And then they escorted us out with armed security.
So you were ushered off the property. They didn't want to provide you any assistance. Did they direct you to where you could find assistance to get trees off your home?
No.
But yet they identified to me that they were going to have contractors there, 700 of them in fact, that were there to coordinate assistance with the state and local authorities, which would lead one to believe that means assistance for you, a member of the state of North Carolina.
No vibe of assistance. There was this vibe of we're not wanted there, and there's something, you know, they don't want us to see, I guess. And they were just like, you need to get out. We'll walk you out. And then they tried to take us to the gate, but then we were like, the truck's over here, and they were like, y'all drove in? And they were just like really at it then when we like just drove in the gate.
I'm just trying to find out where you guys have been. I mean, we've still been pulling people out of the woods that say they haven't seen anybody the whole time. That's all. Just trying to figure it out.
To the left, guys.
Yeah, my truck's right there, so if you want me to leave, I'm gonna have to get in that.
Yeah.
And then the one dude was like yelling, like, who's at the front gate? And everything at that point.
So they realized they had a breach of their own security?
And then at that point, I was kind of thinking too, like, man, this is a little bit weird. Like, why are they so up in arms about us being here? Like, we weren't doing anything. We were just trying to find out what's going on.
Get help for your friend's house that had a couple of trees on it. It seems reasonable to me.
Yeah, I don't think we were doing anything wrong.
So you've had some more interesting things happen. They escorted you out of there, but you've had FEMA come to your house. What was that experience like?
Yeah, so I was getting out of the shower and saw my security camera go off and couldn't get outside in time. I heard people knocking on the door, and I was like, who are these little ladies coming to my house? So I jumped in the truck and rode around the neighborhood and found them right around the corner. And I asked them if they were with FEMA, and they said yes. And they showed me their badges, and one lady actually happened to be with Customs and Immigration Services on her badge, so who knows?
Double-sided badge?
Double-sided badge. One side was FEMA, one side was Customs and Immigration Services. And I asked them questions they didn't have answers to, so they called their supervisor, Dante, and he showed up about 10 or 15 minutes after I started talking to the ladies and came in about 30 miles an hour over the speed limit, slammed on brakes, jammed it into reverse, and tried to run over me. He even says later on in the clip I have that he meant to hit me. So that's a good way for our federal officials that are here to help us to act to people asking for help, you know.
So was he forthcoming with information with respect to other FEMA camps, Candler, and anywhere else for that matter?
No, he kind of tried to say, well, we can't tell you where we're at, and they should have escorted you out because of safety, and it's kind of getting weird because there's nobody there. They say they have FEMA officials. Go ahead.
What was his response to when you asked him about the Candler camp and the fact that, you know, several people had been there, including yourself?
Oh, well, see, he didn't know that we were the ones that went there, and he was just saying people have been running up on us with AK-47s and machine guns and handguns.
Did you have machine guns?
No, I actually, for the first time in a couple of months, I took my gun off my hip to go in because I didn't want there to be any sort of escalation of anything. So.
Have you personally witnessed escalation of anything with, you know, civilians in FEMA or civilians in law enforcement since Hurricane Helene?
Yeah, in the first couple of weeks, there were stories that I can't verify myself that people were taken out and behind the shed, you know, that kind of treatment that country folks do, and they left. And we saw them stealing supplies. We got pictures of that. People came in and said,
who's stealing supplies?
Well, they said they were FEMA. They had camouflage on, no badges, no insignia, locked up the Pleasant Valley Fire Department and took all the supplies and said they had to take them to the hub in Asheville, which didn't know it at the time, but they were also being watched by people around that community. And they said they took them up to an undisclosed location that was locked and guarded 24/7, and they were taking the stuff out on a helicopter.
So these are people in camouflage, claiming to be FEMA, raided supplies at a police department and took them somewhere else?
At Pleasant Valley Fire Department, and they said they had to take them to Asheville to the supply hub. Why would you take them to Asheville when nobody in Burnsville can get to Asheville to get the supplies they need in Burnsville, when the supplies are already in Burnsville?
Yeah, it doesn't make very much sense. So from your perspective, we're now a month and a half out past Helene. Where is this going? I mean, the camp in Candler is enormous. There's other camps that are similar in sort of configuration, just not quite as big as the Candler, North Carolina camp. There's one at Blue Ridge Community College. We also saw one at Craggy Correctional Facility, which did used to have inmates in it, but they moved them out prior to the storm. What are your thoughts here?
Well, I mean, it was very interesting when I was told, there were rumors circulating around with the locals that around the Asheville area, bodies were being taken, stored, and possibly disposed of or hidden to some extent at AB Tech, where they also have a runway and an empty prison. So it'd be a great strategic, military-style strategic location for them to move people or goods or supplies or whatever in and out, and also to detain people, whether that be rounding up illegals to deport them or rounding up American citizens for whatever reason they see fit.
So my understanding from the Candler, North Carolina camp is they were supposed to have 700 FEMA employees there that were to facilitate and coordinate with state and local officials as well. By my last account, and I was just there a couple days ago, there may have been 30 cars in the parking lot, maybe 50 if we want to be generous. Certainly not 700 people are at that camp, and it's been a month since my first visit to that camp. What do you think they're using that camp for?
Well, it's not for the people that are still sleeping in tents in Swannanoa or Burnsville or Spruce Pine or people that have lost everything. It's not for them, but I know for sure at AB Tech I saw National Guardsmen staying in those bunkhouses when everybody knows the military has mobile barracks they can just throw up anywhere. They could use those for the military and let the people that don't have homes anymore live in those bunkhouses, but they're not doing that. They got here way too late to help anybody that needed help.
What do you think when you hear stories about FEMA employees that are going around, particularly in Florida, my home state, saying if you see a Trump sign, skip the house?
Well, Hurricane Milton came after that, and that was when that supposedly happened, but it just goes to show that they didn't even send FEMA people here to tell to skip our houses. They just didn't send anybody. And the people that they did send either got ran off or didn't do what they were here to do or what they were saying they were going to do.
Well, when I spoke to the folks at Candler, I mentioned the fact that FEMA had pulled out due to threats where they claimed there were threats from militia. And the militia I've met are not here going on offense. They're very much on defense. They want to protect their property. They don't want to be removed from their property. They don't want their children removed. I know they were really just looking for any kind of help they could get. So, but the FEMA, representative I spoke to in Candler said, no, that's not true. We're not going anywhere. We're going to be here for a long time. What are you hearing from some of the folks you've spoken to?
Why? My question is why? They didn't show up when we needed them, but they're going to be here for a long time to do what? The same nothing that they've done so far? All the supplies, all the assistance has come from people in these communities and people all around the world, really. I mean, people have donated from everywhere. They've come here from everywhere to help. But the federal government, mainly FEMA, hasn't done a damn thing, pardon my French. And everybody here knows it.
What do you want for the people here in Western North Carolina? How do you want to see all this resolve?
I want answers as to why they didn't come to help. They knew the storm was coming for days and days before it came. Why didn't they have people closer, ready to go? They could have mobilized and been here within 24 hours and started getting to these people. Lives could have been saved, but they were lost because of their negligence.
So I'm here in Hendersonville, North Carolina at Top Tier Fabrication, a apparently some of the folks here have had some interactions with FEMA. Not only the FEMA camp in Candler, North Carolina, but also the FEMA camp that apparently they don't want you to know exists across the street at Blue Ridge Community College. Good morning.
Good morning. How
Hi,
are you?
I'm Ann Vandersteel, Steel News.
Ty Townsend. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Ty. Wanted to stop through this area because we're looking at some activity with FEMA across the street at the Blue Ridge Community College. And I was wondering if you have any information with respect to what's happening over there, and also find out how you're doing, because I understand this area was pretty deep in the water, in the flood.
We were. So first question, what I know about the FEMA camp over here at the community college is it's extremely limited. I know that they're not allowing a lot of people in and out of there. I know quite a few people who work at the college, and they have told me that they had a staff meeting and they are not allowed to say to anybody that FEMA is on site, that it is a outside organization of unknown origin. My shop was flooded with 36 inches of water. We're like 8 feet above the flood line here. And I've been really busy. I haven't had time to go checking out FEMA. I got a wife, 2 kids. I got livelihood.
Sure.
I got more important things that I need to worry about.
Absolutely. Are you able to get compensated from insurance since you're above the floodplain?
No, no.
You did not have flood insurance?
No, I didn't have flood insurance.
Got it.
Yep, they denied everything. I lost over $50,000 in machines.
I'm so sorry. And did you even make an application to FEMA?
I did. It was denied.
Denied?
It was denied. I got the $750, but they denied any business assistance.
Do they expect you to pay back that $750?
I don't know. I've heard yes, I've heard no. I don't actually know.
Do you have the fine print?
No, I don't.
How did they administer the funds? Just wire it directly, or?
Yep, it was wired direct.
Okay, and they gave you no paperwork?
I got no paperwork.
We're going to go in here. There's a gentleman by the name of Dante that supposedly works here. He had an interaction with a good friend that has been quite helpful in terms of looking at this FEMA location. He's brought some more locations to my attention. Clearly a concern, why is this location telling people inside Blue Ridge Community College not to let people know they're here? There was a meeting held by a FEMA representative in the school with members of the management of that school, and they said, please don't tell anybody that FEMA's here. In fact, if people ask you who's here, tell them that we are an outside organization of unknown origin. Now, why on earth would they want to do something like that? Meet us. Good morning, or good afternoon, as it were. Hi, Ann Vandersteel with Steel News. I am here, I'm just covering what's going on with this particular FEMA location to find out how you guys are assisting the public. Thank you very much. Y'all are with Strategic Security Corp? Yes, oh, wonderful. How long have you been working with them?
Can't answer any questions for you.
You can't answer any questions, okay. Is this for folks that are here to perform disaster recovery services?
Talk to you, ma'am.
Okay. Did y'all know I was coming?
We seen you around. We expected to come.
Oh, okay, well that's good. I mean, I hope that is good.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, I mean, it is, you know, government money, our money, your money. You're a taxpayer, I'm sure.
Yes, ma'am.
It's not over. Is this Dante that's coming?
I'm not specifically sure what his first name is.
Oh, okay. No, I was actually going to ask for Dante. Does that name sound familiar?
Doesn't ring a bell.
It doesn't ring a bell? Okay, I was told there was a gentleman by the name of Dante that works here. So I can't tell from how far away from if this is Dante or not. I've seen him on another video, so I just thought I would come and ask for him. Marine Corps. All right. Number 5. Hi. Good morning.
Good morning.
You're not Dante. Are you Dante?
No, I'm not.
No. Okay. Hi. I'm Ann Vandersteel. Pleasure to meet you. Are you with FEMA?
I am. How can I help?
Do you have a FEMA badge that shows that you're with FEMA?
Why is that relevant?
Why is that relevant?
Yes.
Well, because I've been told from people who work inside FEMA up in upper management that if they are with FEMA, they're always identifying themselves with FEMA and they have a badge. And they told me specifically, make sure they show you a badge if they're with FEMA. Pardon me?
Who are you?
I'm Ann Vandersteel. I'm with Steel News.
Okay.
We're just because I've been covering what's been going on in North Carolina for the past month. trying to, help the people understand where they can get supplies. I just left a distribution center that's also got FEMA oversight. And they were lovely over there, very helpful. And so we're just checking on what y'all are doing and how you guys are helping the public. That's all, so the public knows where to go, because a lot of the public hasn't seen FEMA. And so I said, well, I'll help you find FEMA.
So I'm pretty sure that they referred you to our public affairs.
I've already reached out to them. I haven't heard back from public affairs.
Well, that's the best I can do for you, ma'am, because they're the ones that will answer all your questions.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we got some more folks coming here. Maybe I'll wait and see what they say.
They're going to say the same thing, ma'am.
They are?
Yes.
Are you a Marine?
I was a Marine.
You were. Thank you very much for your service. I appreciate. Happy Veterans Day, belatedly so.
All right. Thank you.
I appreciate that.
All right.
Hi. Good morning or good afternoon.
But like I said, ma'am, all questions will be handled by our FEMA public assist office.
Okay. Yeah.
Public
No.
affairs. Yes.
Is there a reason why they don't want to answer any questions at this site?
Ma'am, all questions will be answered by our public affairs office.
Fair enough.
Okay.
They have. So is military here as well?
Ma'am, all questions will be answered by our public affairs office.
Okay. If you are a FEMA employee, though, I was directed by somebody very high up in FEMA to ask you for your badge.
Well, that's not the instructions that I got.
That's not the instruction. So are you working with the security organization here?
Ma'am, this is
Strategic Security Corp?
a FEMA village.
Okay.
Okay. And
Is it federal property?
All questions will be handled through our FEMA public affairs office.
Okay, I just find it unusual that y'all just don't want to be forthcoming for the public.
I'm very forthcoming. All questions that you have, you need to send those through our public affairs, and they'll be happy to answer those questions for you.
Fair enough.
All right.
I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming. All right, have a great day.
You too. Ooh. So, yeah, something very fishy is going on. I'm telling you, they're doing something. Well, I find it very odd. Again, you saw they have military here. They have security people here. Let's see who this guy is. He's obviously getting badged in. They obviously don't want to answer any questions. I've already sent an email to the Public Affairs Office. I sent an email directly into FEMA, and I haven't heard back yet. I will actually send this broadcast to the Public Affairs Office at FEMA, because frankly, they should be asking questions. You think it looks like war mobilization? Wow, they're hiding something in that location. Not very transparent, sketchy AF. Something fishy going on in the village. I'm telling you, they're doing something. What are they hiding? They're gearing up for something major. This looks like war mobilization while they're hiding something at that location. Yeah, I mean, you gotta take it at what it is. They don't want you to know what's going on here. So clearly we have created a problem here on this campus because they're bringing out the brass. We've stirred up a hornet's nest. They really don't want questions answered at this location. Again, I have serious concerns, and I'm going to contact Blue Ridge Community College and ask to speak to somebody in the office with respect to why they would take instructions from a federal organization in a county college to not alert the public that FEMA's here, and if the public were to ask, to tell the public that it's an outside organization of unknown origin. What kind of answer is that? If you're a county resident and you are paying taxes that is funding this college, and this is college property, and FEMA sets up shop here, and they're gonna lie to the public that pays the taxes? No, that is not okay. The public deserves to know. And again, they're not happy that we're here. They were expecting us. They've heard that we might be coming by. Well, we're here, we're asking questions, and they don't want to give answers. Not acceptable.
None of the questions I asked were addressed on the website to which I was referred by representatives at various FEMA camps. Well, we're here now at the SYNC building at Blue Ridge Community College. This is their administrative building. We're just going to ask them what they know about FEMA and what sort of deal they cut.
They don't tell us, they don't communicate with us.
But I mean, aren't they on y'all's property?
So, FEMA is federal.
Right.
Okay? And the only thing I know is that they're on the front, and you see that big giant gate, we have nothing to do with that.
Because I'm not a threat. I was just literally as a taxpayer asking questions and was treated almost like pretty hostile. And
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? It's y'all's property, which means it's county taxpayer property.
we should ask. And, you know, we're hearing from people that they don't even want people to know they're there. And I'm like, why wouldn't you, if you're FEMA and you're here to help us, why wouldn't you want us to know you're there?
Yeah, I honestly, I cannot answer any of that because we don't know.
You know?
Yeah, well.
One lone voice. Ask you questions.
And I agree 100%. We should be working as a team.
Uh-huh.
But
well,
feds are very secretive, and even with law enforcement.
Oh, you know.
We don't know, because like I said.
Put it this way, as a taxpayer, I would hope FEMA is giving some kind of remuneration to the county or to the school or something to say, hey, we're using your parking lot and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I mean, like I said, they don't communicate with us. They don't tell us, you know, what they're here for, what they're doing.
Yeah.
We have no idea. I mean, we came back from being on break from the storm and
voila.
So unfortunately, we can't answer your question.
Across the highway from Blue Ridge Community College, FEMA camp, lies a FEMA coordinated distribution center.
I'm
Brian Rhodes, pleasure to meet you. Ann Vandersteel, Steel News. I'm just following up. I've been here for a month now covering this. I'm from Florida.
Okay.
And we've been doing a lot of humanitarian aid stories, all that kind of stuff, and just trying to help the public know where they can get supplies and so on and so forth. So Jennifer Balcom had told a friend of mine who's from here, who's done a lot of work, that this was a big distribution site. So I was just looking in to see what y'all are doing.
We're currently, our distribution at this point is currently for the nonprofit hubs in the county.
Okay.
All our nonprofit organizations we're providing to them right now.
Okay.
And they are distributing it out and taking in those private orders and getting to the people.
Okay,
we're doing bulk orders now to those organizations.
And what is some of the biggest nonprofits you're feeding into? Samaritan's Purse?
Well, Mana's.
Yeah, so I couldn't list them all off the top of my head without getting a list. Mana, food banks handling a lot of the food.
Yep.
We are working with Only Hope, a lot of the homeless shelters. We're Salvation Army, Interfaith Ministries, or some of those that we're doing.
So if it gets distributed to them, do you know if they're delivering them to the people in the mountains?
They are delivering people, they do this sheltering long term, right?
Got it.
So we're here, disaster relief. As we move from disaster to recovery, we're getting these assets to the people who need it full term. Like I said, we do this for a living.
So will this remain open throughout the winter, and how long do you think this site will remain open to do that kind of, support?
That I couldn't tell you until we give you the assets that you see, I would say.
Okay, so this is, are you accumulating any more assets in here now, or just distributing out?
No, we're just distributing out. We're accepting no more.
Accepting no more. Okay. Whose authority are you operating under? Is it the state, the county, FEMA?
This is Henderson County.
Henderson County. Okay, so they're organizing this. They're coordinating with FEMA, I imagine.
Yes, Red Cross, FEMA, all those people who have their ties with like federal aid or state aid. Yes, but it started as Henderson County taking care of Henderson County people with Henderson County assets.
Are you aware of any other distribution sites like this in, say, Avery or Mitchell or Yancey or Buncombe?
I can't speak to that.
You don't know? Okay. Have you heard of any of those?
I have talked with several other organizations because we've sent resources back and forth throughout the beginning of this process.
Okay.
Through the different counties, Buncombe, Yancey, stuff like that.
So you all have inter-county shared resources?
We have. If they're short and we have, and vice versa.
Oh, wonderful.
We have been able to supply each other for our needs, immediate needs.
In terms of buying, is this all from donation from companies and individuals, or is FEMA purchasing any of the resources for distribution?
To my knowledge, FEMA has not purchased any of these per se. But
we have FEMA water. We have water and we have MREs.
Okay.
That were provided by FEMA.
Okay.
But all the rest of this, most of this is all private donation.
Whether it be business or citizens.
We've had donations from over 30 states. We do have National Guard, and they've been in and out, and they've been a constant help out here.
Sure. And are they running sort of distribution out into the other private
they're
entities?
working with us, basically filling orders and loading and unloading.
Okay.
We're doing a lot of, they're helping us on this base right here.
How about the FEMA camp over at Blue Ridge Community College? Are they assisting at all in getting distribution done?
I've not been in contact with them at all.
Okay.
Myself, me personally, because
I think
pretty much in this world, pretty regular.
Okay. So I don't know if they're actually doing resourcing, having people come to them there. We can't speak to that.
Okay, so they're not interacting with y'all here.
No.
Is FEMA like corporate or headquarters from DC coming in and doing any oversight?
We had some upper admin with FEMA come in.
I've had FEMA here a couple times, inspecting what we were doing in the process, seeing what our needs were.
Okay.
Just basic follow-up constantly.
Okay, good interactions. I mean, if you feel like you're being supported, okay, good.
Absolutely.
Good. Well, I'd say that was a very good representation of how county government should work in tandem with FEMA and, of course, their state resources. What's going on here is good, really good. Unfortunately, we don't see this kind of good everywhere we go here in North Carolina, particularly when you get into the areas around mineral deposits. And I'm not making accusations, I'm just saying when you start to look at the trend of where they're getting help versus where they're not, clearly they're leaning into areas that don't have resources that the state or globalist governments would actually want access to. Coming from Spruce Pine yesterday, the FEMA response there is anemic, and the people are frankly disgusted by the federal government, and they don't want the federal government. They just want to build back better in their own image, not in what the federal government is offering in terms of land grabs and buyouts, pre-flood pricing buyouts, as being promoted by some journalists in the Washington Post telling you what a great deal it is. These people have lived here for generations. They don't want to go anywhere, but what you see happening here is really how it should be. Nonpartisan help for the people, government working with corporations that are making donations, and those donations are being pushed out to, with the help of our National Guard, into other nonprofit organizations to get it to the people who need these resources the most. Even though FEMA was distributing goods with the help of the National Guard out of Henderson County, there still is very much of a decentralized approach to people helping people.
I think about the needs that we have here, and it shows up. I literally think about it and it shows up. I'm not even joking. It is amazing. It's a great day.
I live here. This is my home church. And basically, when this happened, we shut it down, everything else we're doing, and whatever resources, connections, networks we have, we're putting behind this. And we've created a hub-spoke logistics model. We've insisted on putting everything kind of under the umbrella of PCS for protection purposes, to make sure just anyone, I don't care who it is, can't stick their fingers in our pot, because this is a private business operation. We are on a church campus. We work with a lot of churches, so is everybody right now, and that's kind of how we're trying to frame it.
And this is how FEMA doesn't get involved.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
And we have a lot of network people helping bring resources here. We're blessed with a very significant footprint and infrastructure that we can use. We've got parking, we've got staging, I've got a ball field, HLZ. I've dropped 14 Chinooks in there so far now, getting stuff dropped off. We've got people with forklifts and farmers with equipment trying to help.
Do you need the federal government?
No.
Not a trick question.
Here, right here, absolutely not. The only thing that would do for us right now is they would come in, they would take over the logistics that we have, all of these resources that we have, all these connections that we have. I have teams that have specifically came to us because we have not received federal government assistance. And people want to help those who aren't getting it. And that's in rural Appalachia. Those places, all these little towns that have, population 1,000, population 1,200, population 2,000, guess what? They're not getting the help. And I understand it's a logistical nightmare to solve this problem, but we don't have time to wait.
Hey, it's Dr. Molly James here. I'm at the Avery County Field Hospital. I have a ton of medical volunteers who want to come in. We are challenged because they don't have a place to stay right now. Our plan was to try to find an RV that we can park on premise. That way if somebody comes in at night, they're here and they're available immediately and can cover calls. So if anyone can solve that problem for us, please reach out.
So when Hurricane Helene roared through here, there are a few people that answered the call. One of them is Dr. Molly James. She was so concerned with what was happening in North Carolina and the lack of response. She picked up everything, left St. Louis, and started a clinic, which I call the MASH unit down at Avery Airfield.
Yeah, there were kind of two main categories of patients that we were seeing. One was the volunteers
that were running 16 to 18 hours a day. They wouldn't stop to eat, they wouldn't hydrate, and it was winter in the morning, summer in the afternoon, and winter at night. So we were trying to take care of them and keep them going so that the system didn't go down. We also had people who found out we were there from the community that came down, you know, diabetics, dehydrated, dizziness, chest pain, people that couldn't get into their doctors who were running out of meds. So we kind of filled that gap between the hospital and their doctors until people could get up and going again.
But you got word from the Avery Airport Authority that it was time to close down. What happened?
Yeah, so I went back home, and about a week after, so we set up on a Monday. A week and a half later, I got a call from DHHS, and they said, we've had complaints that you have a hospital and you don't have a license. So we had a discussion about what exactly we were doing, and I clarified, you know, we weren't trying to be a trauma center or advertise for hospital services. It was a field hospital, so we were doing basic clinical triage. So at the end of the discussion, I said, why don't I just not call it a hospital? Would that solve this issue? And they seemed to think that it would, and they sent me a cease and desist letter, which was highly unnecessary, to not operate a hospital and not refer to it as a hospital in any way. So a week later, I'm at home running my clinic when I get a call that at my little volunteer center, the DEA, the DHHS, the State Board of Medicine, and the sheriff showed up at our doorstep to shut us down. So that was 3 weeks into things.
Why?
Nobody knew. And of course, it created quite a bit of anxiety and stress with these volunteers who just came, and they're like, why are people knocking on our doors? It was extremely intimidating. So we had to work through that process, and they brought the cease and desist letter up, and I said, no, we've already addressed that. It's fine. We're not calling it, we're just people helping people. We're just a volunteer station. That's been addressed. The DEA had complaints that we were distributing Suboxone and controlled substances, which is ludicrous. And so we had to address that, and I explained people donated opioids, and so we found these in the donation piles, and we secured them so that they wouldn't be in the wrong hands. So that was that issue. The State Board of Medicine apparently inspected and found that everything was fine, so there was really no problem. So what they did is they went through the airport authority, which is privately owned, and gentlemen who had been basically letting people stay in their space, and the county said, we don't need them anymore because the state has put up a clinic, so they need to be out by Sunday at 5.
Again, this is your time, this is your sacrifice, this is you donating to be of service to a community that has been hard hit, and yet it seems that the federal government and the state of North Carolina has actually stepped in and made life a little bit more difficult, or maybe a lot more difficult, and certainly not offering the services that you were. What's the beef?
Yeah, they knew that, and so I didn't petition them. We're just going to do our work. We are invited by individuals, so again, we're fully licensed. There's no reason for anyone to cause us any problems. We were invited guests of the airport, so when they said we don't need you anymore, we gladly honored their wishes. But there's so much need here, and really the medical need isn't so obvious all the time. It's people who need other things, so we've stepped into that role. This week, I helped procure roll-off garbage dumpsters. So we're a multi-purpose clinic. They're price gouging and charging $25,000.
Hey, garbage is in these days.
Garbage is in. They're
garbage
charging
is in.
$25,000 a week for a roll-off down here. So the people who need them can't get them. One of the people, my nurse practitioner's husband, is a garbage broker. So I called him, and we got 5 roll-offs for the entire month for $3,000. So we're covering that for people.
I'm sure FEMA has showed up to provide services and ask how they can be of assistance.
Probably somewhere.
Have you had any interaction?
I haven't.
Okay, what have you heard about their presence here?
Across 4 counties, I haven't seen any FEMA workers. I haven't seen anything. We've heard from individuals as we're going out in the areas of devastation that the FEMA folks have just irritated them because they're not providing funds. We obviously hear the stories of people who are denied any kind of benefits. You know, somebody said, my home washed off the mountain and I'm denied funds because I don't have a home that can be inspected. That's how ludicrous it is at this point. You have people who've lost cars, they can't file insurance claims because they don't have a vehicle because it's gone and who knows where it ended up. They can't file claims. So they're just lost, they've lost everything. They've lost their property, they've lost their acreage because it washed off the side of the mountain. The big concern that we've been addressing in the last week or two with the anti-trafficking groups we're working with is there are families who are homeless. They've been kicked out of the shelters now, and they're concerned. I don't know if this is the children are being confiscated, but they're concerned that DSS is going to come take their children. If they don't have running water and if they don't have a bathroom, it qualifies as neglect under the state law. And if they miss school. So some of these people don't have roads to get to school on, and they don't have vehicles to get to school. So that's a very real concern. So again, we've been focusing on trying to get them into homes. You would think somebody with common sense would say, maybe we should pause on that. These people are in communities, they have people looking out for them. Unless there's a concern that's raised from within the community, we'll take a step back for a minute and let them get through this disaster. So I think the lack of common sense is bewildering.
So this building right here is one of the buildings that the Amish built, and the county has told him he cannot live in that while he rebuilds his house. So I guess he can just sleep in the dirt.
This the land grab narrative you've been hearing from people. Western North Carolina is not a conspiracy theory. Here's how it works. Your family lives on 30 acres of land by the river worth approximately $225,000. Helene rolls in and wipes out your home and floods about 50% of your land. You now live in a tent with your kids and have applied to get a temporary housing unit from FEMA. FEMA shows up, takes a look around, says, "Sorry, we can't give you a trailer to live in on this land. You are in a flood zone." You say, "Okay, I don't want to live in a tent with my kids anymore. What should I do?" FEMA says, "You can sell your land to us for the current tax evaluation of $18,000, and we will put you up in a nice warm RV." You say, "Wait, I can't sell this land for $18,000. It's worth at least 10 times that, and it's the only asset that I have." FEMA says, "Okay, no worries, bye." Now you're stuck living in your tent with your 3 kids, wondering if you should sell the only thing you have left to your name just to have a warm place for your family to sleep. That's the land grab.
As we drive into Spruce Pine, we're entering a place known for its rich mineral deposits, a town built on the treasures of the earth. Spruce Pine is famous worldwide for its high-quality quartz and feldspar, minerals essential to industries from electronics to glass making.
The high purity quartz that you can only get here in Spruce Pine is what is probably 70-80% of the electronic technical grade. I mean, without this, your cell phones, your computers, your smart TVs, all your electronics will not work without the high purity quartz, and this is the only place you can get it.
This quiet mountain town has long held a unique place in the world, with its hidden riches buried beneath the rugged beauty of the Blue Ridge Mountains. But today, Spruce Pine faces a different challenge. Hurricane Helene has left a trail of destruction, like so many communities across North Carolina. Roads washed out, buildings damaged, and the signs of a vibrant mining town are obscured by mud and debris. 2 weeks after Hurricane Helene, I ran into Sandra Duckett, whose family built this house several generations ago along the North Toe River. Flooded all the way to the second floor, where volunteers came and helped remove the mud out of her basement and out of her home, she is still here working diligently, trying to restore her life, pick up the pieces, and perhaps gift this home to future generations.
This was a sunroom. I'm just trying to salvage just basic things. So I've just now started putting my pots and tools back in here. But all of this will have to be washed out, boxed up, and then this will have to come out, but we can't really afford that. We might take it out, but just don't put anything back up.
Her house was absolutely underwater, destroyed by the mud. This is her grandparents' house that she has also lived in, her family. It's a house that is made of stone. It had to be rebuilt once before from a flood, and her grandparents had the whole house built with stone, which is what you see on the exterior. And when I was here last month, I happened to meet her when I was just looking around what's going on in Spruce Pine. In just a month's time, the kind of people I've met have inspired me and moved my heart. So much so that this lovely woman who just bought a brand new refrigerator and a brand new stove and put flooring down a year and a half ago is going to get it all replaced
by American Made Foundation. We want to help her because she's doing all this work by herself with the occasional help of volunteers.
I've been here for 30 years, and I'm going to go on cleaning it up and hopefully for the next generation.
Local Spruce Pine resident Randy Horton, famous for his support of President Trump, loves to lend a helping hand wherever he goes.
Myself, I live right in Spruce Pine, in the town of Spruce Pine, and I just coming down off the mountain. We've just been going as hard as we can go to get parts, to keep our equipment running, delivering food. That's what me and my son is going to do tomorrow, is deliver hot meals from door to door on the north end of the county. The Amish and the Mennonites are providing hot meals for everybody, so I'm going to load mine up and go door to door in the Tipton Hill relief area on the north end of the county and try to get those folks that don't have food. I'm going to try to get them at least a hot meal.
His good friend, Nick Borman, owns a local gun shop. I'm excited to meet Nick as he's also a member of the local law enforcement. Together, these men have a lot to tell. Hey, Nick.
Hi.
Ann Vandersteel.
Nick Bowman.
Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you.
I'd love to know from your perspective how how this town is doing after the tragedy of Helene. What's your perspective?
We've come a long ways. We still have a long ways to go. We're talking years and years worth of rebuilding infrastructure. So small businesses are suffering big time. Most of the businesses in Mitchell County shut down. Most of them still are not back up. We're trying. Upper Street, which is where we're located, is doing better. We were closed for 3.5 weeks, and that's a hit when you're running a small business.
Yes, it is.
So,
were you closed because you had to be? There was no infrastructure, no water, no electricity?
Yeah, no water, no electricity, no internet. Running a firearms business, you have to have
internet.
You have to do federal background checks.
That's right.
Every firearm. So
that's right. Now, has there been any talk about redevelopment of the lower street of Locust in that area?
They're working on cleaning it up. It's going to be a long time. Lots of cleaning. Building inspectors have to come in and check everything. Water does some major damage. So
certainly it does. What about the businesses? My understanding from a lot of folks like Randy, a lot of these businesses didn't have flood insurance.
I don't know of a single business that had flood insurance.
Wow.
And every business on Lower Street was a 100% loss.
The Tow River tore through Spruce Pine, leaving behind a mess downtown along Locust Avenue. You can see people are working to dig out and dry out.
So what is the talk amongst the business owners and the residents in the town with respect to, is there going to be an opportunity to rebuild? Are they getting any financial assistance from the government? Is it all privately being handled?
So I just received an email yesterday on government grants. 2 grants for small businesses and 1 small business loan that's been made available with super low interest rates. So that is handy.
Okay. There's a, from what I understand, I know in Buncombe they just put this announcement out about it is a federal FEMA grant program that Buncombe is involved in, and it's a little bit alarming to me the way it reads, and I'll just kind of let you know what I posted on X earlier today about, it's called the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, and it's there to reduce or eliminate future damages and losses following a disaster. It's also being, the website is also published in Spanish and Russian language, which I thought was interesting on their website there at FEMA. It says, while federally funded, officials said the program is managed by North Carolina by the Department of Public Safety's Division of Emergency Management, and officials said that for property owners, the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program offers assistance for various mitigation strategies such as structure evaluation, meaning raising buildings to protect them from flooding, structural reinforcement to strengthen the buildings, property buyouts, purchasing damaged properties to reduce future risk, and of course they're saying participation in the program is totally voluntary. So, you know, what does that sound like to you?
It sounds like they're trying to buy everything out. They don't want it to rebuild, in my opinion. My personal opinion, FEMA is a joke. they have come in and made a mockery of how things have been. One-on-one, the locals have done everything.
Yeah.
These big businesses we have here that people who are not from here want to mock, they have donated millions of dollars of their own money. These big mines, great companies. These people want to come in and mock them, saying, oh, they're not doing anything. First-hand experience.
Good.
They've donated weeks and weeks and weeks worth of free labor and machinery doing everything.
Sibelco and Quartz have done a
Sibelco
great,
and
they've
Quartz.
stepped up. That's
They have.
awesome to hear.
They have. FEMA, on the other hand, they'll come in, they'll look, oh, nope, that's not anything we'll do. You don't even qualify for the $750 bucks, you know, we'll send it all to Ukraine.
Right.
2 denials for, personally, 2 denials on my house and nothing. And then out of the blue, 3 weeks later, they come back and say, oh yeah, we'll reopen the case. After we've already gutted everything, threw everything out, and redid everything. They come in to do the inspection, like, oh, everything seems fine, turn around and walk out. Of course it does. 7 kids, I'm not going to let them stay in the mold.
Last question for you is, there's a giant community resource facility being built up on the hill across from Lower Street. And I think it's a YMCA facility, is what I was told by one of the construction managers at Vinoy Construction. That's 65,000 square feet, but what I don't see around it, and I'm not an expert in construction, is a lot of parking to accommodate a structure of that size. How do they plan to allow people access to that if they don't have parking for that?
Well, we're all wondering the same thing.
So what are some of the good things you've seen come out of this tragedy?
Oh, community. Hands down, the communities come together. Red, blue, it didn't matter up until the day after the election. The day after the election, it separated again.
Yeah.
But
did it really?
Oh yeah, big time. But up until then, it didn't matter. Everybody was working together, helping everybody out. 24/7 did not matter.
How do we foster the unity that needs to happen? I feel like a lot of unity has happened through the election process, but how do we continue to develop that unity in communities? Because still your community has, as you said by your own admission, years before it's going to be restored.
Uncandid speaking, the lack of social media made everybody come together because they weren't being spoon-fed false information from everybody. It's just, hey, this is what's going on. We don't know what's going on anywhere else, but we know you're here and we can help you and you can help us. And that's how it was for weeks.
Right.
So
right now we're like dust in the wind. You know, it can blow us anywhere. You know, wherever God leads us, you know, we'll go. I mean, it's about hour by hour, day by day. We don't set no plans in stone because, you know, we're not guaranteed tomorrow. And if I had one message to get out to Trump, you are a man of your word. I know you are. Stay with it. Get rid of them taxes on overtime. You keep your word and get them borders closed. Whatever you do, get them borders closed and get these people out. And if you need any volunteers, I'll come help.
Is what happened in Western North Carolina weather modification, or is it the United States government and global special interests capitalizing on a 100-year natural disaster? Who benefits? Let's examine the facts. You have potentially cloud seeding, which we know does occur, using polysodium acrylate, the same substance that is also used in the separation of mine tailings from the ore. You have the city of Spruce Pine, one of the hardest hit with the most rain, also building a community center servicing the town of 2,200, but perhaps not enough parking to service everybody that might want to fill a facility of 65,000 square feet. You also have to consider they have right-of-ways for high-speed internet access, 12 companies again to serve, a jurisdiction of 2,200 people living inside the town limits. What exactly are they planning for Spruce Pine? What exactly are they planning for the people of Western North Carolina? FEMA and North Carolina are offering a hazard mitigation grant program whereby in some cases a full buyout of people's property at pre-flood prices is available.
Through this disaster, it has exposed FEMA flood insurance as having serious limitations. Coverage for structures max out at $200,000, and personal property is capped at $100,000, regardless of the actual value of your home or belongings. Shockingly, this applies no matter the premium you pay, which can range from $1,000 to $3,000 per year. An insurance agent confirmed to me that these payout caps are fixed, making the system feel like a scam. You're paying hefty premiums, but when disaster strikes, you're still left significantly underinsured. Would you find it of interest to learn that the areas that were hardest hit are also home to the world's finest quartz silica mines? Sibelco, the leading quartz mining company in Spruce Pine, invested $200 million to increase output by 30% over the next 100 years. A new mass transit line called the Pine Line started to move people around to work, and a community center fit for a city of 100,000 people sprung up in that town of 2,200. And did you know that North Carolina was once the global leader in lithium production? With the rise in demand for lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles and renewable energy storage, there is renewed interest for domestic lithium production. North Carolina holds one of the largest concentrations of hard rock lithium ore, and that ore is critical for reducing reliance on foreign imports and securing supply chains for EV batteries. North Carolina's lithium reserves play a vital role in the United States government's strategy to enhance energy independence and green technology. And in 2012, President Obama signed the National Defense Authorization Act, which included provisions regarding natural resources management, and the fiscal 2025 National Defense Authorization Act broadly supports the Pentagon's actions on clean energy and climate. In 2022, under the NDAA, the Department of Energy announced it awarded nearly $150 million to expand domestic manufacturing of batteries for electric vehicles and the electrical grid. The grant funding was intended to support a portion of the anticipated cost to construct a new commercial-scale, U.S.-based lithium concentrator facility at Albemarle's Kings Mountain, North Carolina location. And in 2023, the DoD granted Albemarle $90 million to begin mining lithium in 2026. Would the DoD's involvement explain why the military was present at the FEMA camps we visited?
I recall a conversation I had with Mike Landis, a trucker who also helped organize the People's Convoy. He saw my live when I first approached the Candler FEMA camp and said to me, "Ann, those trucks look like they belong to a mining camp." He would know. As a trucker, he's been all over these United States, and he has seen a lot of mines.
BlackRock and Vanguard are two of the biggest shareholders of Albemarle. In March of 2012, President Barack Obama signed Executive Order 13603, titled National Defense Resource Preparedness. This is what guided FEMA under the Department of Homeland Security, who is responsible for determination for all of the national defense programs, excluding military and energy production. But what is considered a program? Homeland security efforts, emergency preparedness activities, critical infrastructure protection, continuity of government operations, and management of national stockpiles. And those stockpiles include quartz and lithium.
So you see, when you consider all of the evidence that has been presented, cui bono, who benefits? Is it the people here in North Carolina? Are they being forced off their land for the benefit of the global special interests? And is the military involved in this operation? And is all this going to continue under a Trump administration? These are all questions that must be examined, because as far as I can see, a call to action for the people here in North Carolina would be to stand for their land rights. The fact that they've been on this land for generations should determine land patent application and eligibility. When you buy real estate here in North Carolina, and anywhere in the United States for that matter, you're issued a warranty deed. That warranty deed does not grant you the rights to the land underneath the structure. You've been granted the rights to buy and sell that structure. Land patents need to be reconsidered and issued calls to action for CPS to be called off for those who can't afford to put a structure on and are waiting for somebody to donate. In the meantime, CPS is raiding families and taking children. This has all got to be taken into account with what is happening here in North Carolina. If this is truly a military operation, the military needs to remember their oath and stand with we the people. Thank you so much for tuning in to this very important documentary. I hope this is giving you all food for thought.